What's going on, my beautiful people from YouTube? I am super excited to come live with you guys today to talk about a really cool company. We're talking Propbase today, and they have been doing some incredible things. This is them right here, and I would not do it justice if I just try to explain it myself. So I'm not gonna try to do that. Instead, I'm gonna have the one and only, the founder and CEO of the company actually explain to you guys what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why you should care about it. Let me bring him on stage. Help me welcome. And when I say help me welcome, I actually mean it. Like, the comments are live. We're going to make sure that we actually talk back and forth. You guys get to ask your questions, and Kevin is going to be able to answer them. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, buddy. Great to be here. So thanks for inviting me. We've had some conversations, and so I'm happy to always talk about prop base. RWA. It's a massive narrative. But it's new, right? So a lot of people are just becoming familiar with it, and it's one of the things that we always do is providing awareness. So yeah, happy to discuss anything about our value proposition, get to know your community, and we love questions, right? So happy to engage as much as possible.
Awesome. No, I appreciate you coming on here and actually being willing to engage with the community, right? You told me something a little special. You said that you had not been on a YouTube channel other than Propbase's own channel. And this is the first, I guess, debut of you coming out and just saying, hey guys, this is what we're all about. Come check us out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so and but with action with your channel, like we're myself, our community, we're longtime followers, right? So it kind of makes sense for us to make a debut here. But yeah, I mean, prop base, like we've been in the market for a while, but we did our TGE about 3 months ago, so we're relatively new. A lot of people hear about us now just because we're kind of trending across multiple social channels. And so yeah, I mean, coming on YouTube and doing our debut on YouTube it's great. We like it better, to be honest. So we have done a few things just on our our own YouTube channel and stuff, but it's nice to be on some bigger channels, and get to know a much broader community.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that a lot of people already can say that they love prop base, and there's plenty of fans hanging out with us already. Now, before we move forward, I'm going to put you on the big screen, and if you can do me a huge favor, let people know what prop base actually is, because people are going to watch this video later on. They're going to go, okay, what is this thing all about? So give us that, I guess you can say your elevator's, pitch to somebody that may never heard about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, sure. Of course. So Propbase is a real estate tokenization platform. We're building on the APTOS blockchain. It's quite simple and fairly straightforward. So users can come onto the platform. They can invest as little as $100 through fractional ownership and actually own an underlying token representing a real estate asset and have the same benefits as really owning the entire asset, which is from rental yield and asset appreciation. And they can choose to sell that token representing the asset to another prop-based user at any time and any price of their choosing on our secondary marketplace. So in and of itself, we solve the real major pain points which are facing traditional real estate investment today, which is low liquidity, high barriers to entry, and high fees. And so Propbase solves them all, along with a few other things, all because of the underlying technology, which in our case is blockchain, and the integration of smart contracts into a sophisticated layer one solution. Specifically, we're on the Move programming language, which is built solely on APTOS. So thank you.
That is awesome. All right. I am so eager to actually talk about prop base and understand a little bit more about the how and the what are the assets that you guys are looking into. But before we do that, something that we don't hear a lot inside of this Web3 space is about the people. And I mean, you're in the position that you're in because of your history, where you came from, and the experiences that you've had. I mean, Propbase wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So if I can be so bold to kind of ask who you are, where, what you've been through, and what led you to Propbase, and building this incredible platform.
Yeah, great, sure. Well, I am joined, with my leadership team. It's myself being on the call, but our backgrounds are all relatively the same. So my background specifically is prop tech, almost entirely, and it's kind of in two formats. One is real estate transactions, and really building large marketplaces and seamlessly integrating both in streamlining the transaction process for real estate assets. So that's as interesting as it sounds. That's very unique and specific to my core background, right? So I've built 3 successful businesses. I've had multiple successful exits in the background. And I've had, about 12 to 15 years of experience specifically in this area, specifically with real estate. I love the industry. I'm very passionate about disrupting traditional real estate investment, traditional real estate transactions. And yeah, I've been doing it in the Web 2 space. This is our first foray into Web 3. We like to move fast. We like to think big. We like to really project ourselves out there as best we can. So yeah, I think that's kind of the hindsight. So I'm actually located in Southeast Asia, more specifically Thailand. Our business model focuses here. So despite me being, an American and all of our leadership team being American, we've actually been working over here in Southeast Asia, whether it be Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam. All of our backgrounds, and my background specifically, are innovating here. And Southeast Asia is very interesting because it has the largest, one of the largest, populations, in the world. It's got 650 million people. It has the highest crypto adoption of anywhere in the world, 2x that of the global average. Progressive regulatory environments, and probably the best one, which is a high demand for real estate investment. And so I started out, I did post, kind of funny, talk about history and stuff like this, but I started out, I did postgraduate studies in Thailand here. I started my professional career almost entirely in Southeast Asia. It's a long time ago now. But yeah, I went to Cambodia. I built a very successful business under a very reputable brand name called Century 21. If you're in the United States, you've heard of it. Scaled that business up to about 400, 350, 400 people. Very successful, and today is still the number one. Went to Myanmar as well, and built a online tech business specifically around property. We did multiple, in all these businesses, we've done multiple rounds of fundraising, but through VCs, right? So you'd go through your seed round, you'd go through your series A, your series B, then you'd follow through with your exit strategy. You'd have auditors come in. In our case, we used Deloitte quite a bit. When you bring in, VCs, you usually bring in a lead, and then they bring on a bunch of follow-ons. You have to, unfortunately, you have to continue to scale that business, very aggressively, right? So the demands are 100% year-on-year growth, right, in terms of revenue and all the other associated metrics.
VCs want their money, right?
They do, and we were very good in terms of making that happen for them, right? So yeah, went through a few series rounds. So in Myanmar as well, Thailand. That's where Hudson and I really got well known together. So Hudson's also on our leadership team. and yeah, scaled Kadena, which is the largest online marketplace. So these are big businesses. But what we actually did in all these businesses was we build these large marketplaces. We would really go for market dominance, right? So clear, undisputed number one market leadership. And then in order for us to scale our revenue, we'd focus in on the transaction module, right? So we even though we were like a Zillow or a Rightmove, we were kind of the blending of the two, where we would actually, I would go in and I would buy, you know, half a building or a quarter of a building, and if we liked it, or if we saw that it was you know, value added, or if we were working with a real estate developer, maybe we would, you know, co-invest with them, would or just straight up, you know, sell their entire project, right? So because we had the entire marketing solution when I was in, you know, or am in Thailand, but when I was with my previous company, we had, you know, the entire about the entire like population within our database. So it was very easy for us to, you know, distribute information, value added deals, that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that was kind of really what brought me along to Propbase. So one of the things, as we were doing transactions in the Web2 space, there was always a fundamental problem, right? So it just would take sometimes weeks, if not multiple weeks, to transact a property. And the liquidity on the other end was, it would take sometimes 3 to 5 to 7 years to resell that property. So an investor had a life cycle that they had to go through for traditional real estate investment. At around 2021, in the summer, when a lot of layer ones began like I guess you could say building out their smart contract functionality so that dApps could really build and evolve and put products on there, is when we really looked at, hey, look, blockchain from us now isn't just, you know, something along the lines of Bitcoin or Ethereum before, which was just a store of value, right? Or a way to transact value. It was actually a way for us in order to tokenize assets. And so I think that's where the industry kind of now has emerged, and where we can see, look, you know, that the underlying technology, the benefits that blockchain have in transferring tokens from one party to the next is key, right? So we looked into that. I myself have a technical background, in addition to managing, I guess, a whole bunch of other departments such as marketing, operations, finance, everything. And yeah, I guess just you know, continuing to implement and scale businesses just like we've done in the past, and to do so in what we consider to be like a highly transparent way. And that's one thing where when you talk about Propbase, we're most known for our community, right? And our communication. And that's one thing that we take very seriously, is being transparent pretty much through every step of the way. And yeah, that's what we're happy about. I guess that's my background in 5 to 10 minutes, and I hope I you know, answered a lot of questions there.
You did. You covered a lot, but we're gonna have a lot of fun because I do love writing things down, then going, "Why did you say this?" So we're definitely gonna go like deep into it. Two things. First, everybody watching, if you guys have not smashed that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I gotta tell you to do that, because YouTube now actually highlights the like button when I tell you to give the video a like, which is pretty cool. They're listening, obviously. And the second thing, I want to make sure that we do a giveaway for this video. So I came on here right before I came live, and I said, "Hey, uh, let's do a giveaway." And Kevin was so kind to say, "Yeah, we'll do a giveaway." And I was like, "But I was gonna do a giveaway, so we'll do two giveaways." You know, it's better that way. So two giveaways. We'll do one live for somebody asking questions on the chat, and secondly, we'll do one for anybody that leaves a comment down below. I'll do a YouTube comment picker and pick somebody from the comments afterwards. And I'll definitely remind you guys before the end of the video, so you don't forget to do that. Yeah, those are the housekeeping items. But you ready for the hard questions? Because you said you're all about transparency, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
I
Go
thought
for it.
I thought you were Thailander at first, but, I appreciate you clearing that up. Um, now, you said you were passionate about disrupting this space. Why?
Uh, well, from a fundamental perspective, so you look at information, which was disrupted by the internet. You look at
Right?
Bitcoin and blockchain technology, which has disrupted finance. But you now look at real estate, it's largely you've transacted property the same way you've transacted property for the last 70 years, roughly. So that's the area that hasn't disrupted. And it is the largest asset class in the world. It is, when it is disrupted, the impact that it could have on countries, on the infrastructure of the countries, when you add liquidity into the ecosystem of a city that's building and urbanizing, when you add transparency to that underlying infrastructure through blockchain, um, there's only benefits, right? So, and myself being in a market where it is emerging, there is huge growth, but there is a lack of transparency. There's a lack on, tax and, people being able to value their property at the correct and accurate price, or not sharing the correct and accurate value. Um, where, countries like the United States, or maybe like in Europe, they don't necessarily have that problem. So one of the things that, I've always been passionate about is bringing transparency to the real estate industry. That's kind of been a core fundamental for the last 10 years, just because of the markets that I've been working in. And disrupting it is because it hasn't been disrupted for a very long time. And
Right.
a lot of other areas have. And I think it's time, right? And when we first started out, RWA, the hashtag, it didn't exist, right? When I went and talked to people about tokenizing, hotels and resorts, we got a lot of pushback, right? They're like, why? You know? And but now I think the narrative is coming around. So you have now the big brands, you have, but realistically, bringing assets on chain, it's just more efficient. And yeah, it varies from company to company and how they do it, project to project and region to region. And there's going to be hurdles along the way. But in the next 10 years, what I view is the word blockchain is going to be kind of, not as interesting anymore. It's just going to be a normal thing within our daily lives, similar to the word internet, or, what I see is really assets being on chain. The end user might not necessarily know it's blockchain backed, but it is, right? And that's how the back end infrastructure works. But from a front
Yeah.
end user perspective, they might just think
Like,
that they're
who cares?
buying. Who cares, right? So, but now they can do it from their phone in 5 to 10 minutes. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, the end user, and consumers, everyone's looking for something new, something easier, a new value proposition, an easier way to buy something. And so Propbase and our team and our technical team and everyone, that's how we think when we design and build product.
Love it. Love it. So the disruption is really to make it better because you see that there's a need apparently, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true, right? So,
That totally
I
makes
mean,
sense.
and it kind of goes down to this, right? So, in anywhere in the world, I think even now, because with inflation since the last few years, the price of property in the United States or in Europe, it's unattainable. To be honest, in Southeast Asia, it's also becoming that way, right?
Wow.
It was moving in the right direction, and now it's moving in that direction. So, real estate investment and as real estate ownership has in the, let's say, the consumer's mind, or even an investor, it's like a massive decision and previously thought was unattainable. But now when you begin to fractionalize the underlying asset value, you do so in a compliant way. You have all the infrastructure in place, such as KYC, KYT, AML process, and you have an app that can do it on your phone. So a user, after signing up, can get involved. And now that kind of changes the game. And I think once it changes, it doesn't really go back, right?
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
so yeah, right. So, and I look at it like, there is funds out there. There's REITs. I mean, this type of real estate investment's been around for a long time, right? But even those funds, whether they're private or public, will eventually become tokenized. And I think everything is going to become tokenized in the next 10 years.
It's just where we're headed. I completely agree with you. And
Yeah.
RWAs, I mean, technically, you guys coined the phrase, right? Because it wasn't here when you guys started out. So, can you give us a little bit of what that is? And because I think for some people that might be even new.
Yeah. Real world asset tokenization. The RWA is not in it, so it's an acronym, and it stands for really bringing real world assets on chain. So if we want Bitcoin to be $10 million, and I'm sure everybody listening on the call wants it to go to $10 million, well, we need to bring the value of real world assets onto the blockchain. And when I say real world assets, real estate's a great example, but there's also equities, which are the values of shares in a company, like a stock exchange. There's bonds, T-bills. There's, you could tokenize. I use a great example. You could tokenize, a Tesla factory, right? Or a Tesla charging station. And what happens is that value is brought onto a blockchain. It could be any blockchain, to be honest. And once it's on that blockchain, it's usually represented in a form of, could be an NFT, but in our case, let's say tokens.
Mhm.
And then those tokens represent that value of that underlying asset. And there's a few different ways to do it, but that's the easiest way to summarize it.
Okay, so why is tokenization so effective then in comparison to just I mean I get when it comes to real estate, but as a whole, why is it so good in comparison to having deeds written up and all of the other things, and having to have all the money to purchase a property by yourself? Like, what are the benefits of going this route?
Yeah, great question. Great question. Well, transparency is the big one. I think for me, that's a very important aspect, but that's unique to my markets in the Southeast Asia where I focus, right? So what are the real, like, why would you do it? Well, one is, when you tokenize an asset, you technically open it up to the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain and potentially a global appeal, right? So that means you have a lot more people who can buy that asset or a fraction of that asset, right? Or a token of that asset. So liquidity is a great example. I personally like the one of transferability. So in our case, the way in which our model works is that we, as a platform, we use almost entirely tech. So we don't need to have a massive back-end office operation that updates the membership list every time a membership share transfers on that membership list. We can automate this process through the utilization of smart contracts. So this is very important, right? And the trust between different parties on the transferability of tokens means that you can take some of these tokens and you can put them on different platforms in different countries. And there's a uniform method of settlement between that integrated contract, and there's an agreement on the contract terms, such as how many tokens and where those tokens are. And so there's a bigger scalability. There's the enhanced transferability, which saves the costs to the end consumer. So therefore, traditional real estate transactions would take, you're looking at maybe a broker fee of 6%. You're looking at, transaction costs associated with that through insurance, escrow, everything else. You're looking at another 2%. You're looking at tax. Maybe you're looking at upwards of 9 or 10% of the total property value every time that's transacted, which is the reason why it can only transact every 7 to 10 years, is because that asset only appreciates, on average, I'm going to say in my market, 7 to 10%, but in places like, Europe or something, it might only be 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even within Europe itself, I mean, it does vary tremendously. In the
yeah,
area you're in, like even in the U.S., man, like we can talk about my properties later, but I'm pretty happy with how much they appreciated. But it's because I'm in a niche area, just like you're saying, right? You got to find that niche,
yeah,
and whatever niche run with it.
yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah. So, I mean, it's overall better. There's transparency within the tax. There's an understanding of value being, let's say, correlated or you could say settled on an almost a real-time basis. So you have massively better impact on data. So for larger assets, this is key. And yeah, I just see it as there's very little cons, and there's only necessarily the benefits and the upsides. And so seeing assets being tokenized on a decentralized blockchain is what I'm particularly passionate about. And I think that, that's kind of the area that we're at now. So there's lots of great RWA platforms around the world. They have their own respective models. I'm friends with tons of RWA CEOs, great guys in the space. And yeah, I think everyone's tackling it in their own way, but they all have that underlying value proposition where we're solving a real world problem, an asset that hasn't been disrupted for a long time. Information's been disrupted. Money's now being disrupted. Why not real estate?
Yeah,
It's the values there. So, let's make it accessible to a much larger total addressable market size, and let's make it more liquid so that people don't have, this massive consideration before investing in a property, right?
totally makes sense. So I mean, I believe you because when you say that you got a ton of friends that are doing kind of the same thing, because you're pretty likable, Kevin. Not gonna lie, people really enjoy the stuff you do. But in the same token, unintended, you could have gone in so many different directions. And, the CMAR has kind of asked this pretty important question. Why did you pick Aptos?
Yeah, a great question. Great question. I have a very good answer to that, by the way, because I get asked that question all the time. So one of the biggest reasons is when we began building, which was early 2023. A few things were Aptos was emerging. I took a look at the tech. I looked at the documentation. I looked at everything. I became, downloaded the CLI, submitted and deployed smart contracts. Most of my technical skill is, from all honesty, was largely front end, right? So, or at a product development level. And but I was very familiar with Rust because we had
Mm,
looked at Solana at the earlier stage, late 2022. I know that you're familiar with Kadena ecosystem as well, and a few others, and I think all layer ones kind of have their technical innovation. I like Kadena. I like the chain braiding and the chain web and everything. When I looked at Aptos, one is Aptos had very smooth tech. They had a great test net. They had the spot on documentation. I got support from their technical team. We were able to submit and deploy contracts very smoothly. They had all the infrastructure despite only being really a year old. They had the wallet infrastructure. They had the bridging infrastructure. They had the adapter tools that we needed in order to connect, all the different wallets to our DApp. They had everything that we wanted and were constantly updating. So, but in another, like, why would we go, okay, the tech's good, the Move programming language it's clear, it's relatively readable, I guess you could say, but it's relatively readable, and it is it works, like it works very well for us. But the real reason why I now, after building on Aptos for a year, let's say, or 9 months, is I like the way Aptos is run as a layer one, right? So, if you look at layer ones out there, there are ones that are run like a business, and then there are ones that are kind of run like a foundation, or our tech's so good we don't need to market, right? But Aptos, it's run like a professional business, right? They have customer service, they have hackathons all over the place. I'm going to one on in Hong Kong on April, right? So in about a month. They're ecosystem development partners. They're a year old, but they have ecosystem development partners in APAC before AVAX, before Solana, before all these other guys, right? So they're actively progressing out there with partnerships, right? And those partnerships are strategic for builders, right? So they bring value through, their partnerships with Google or their partnerships with Microsoft, right? Everything is really from the way they develop is from a builder first to attract that next wave of builders onto the Aptos blockchain. And to be set up in such a way in such a short period of time is phenomenal. We like working with, within their community. Propbase is now technically, according to CoinMarketCap, we're the largest by terms of market cap and also daily trading volume, right? Outside of Cake, which is, just bridged onto Aptos. But yeah, I mean, we've had a great experience so far, but I like the way the layer one is run, and I like what they're doing with building out the ecosystem, and they're doing it all with kind of a builders first mentality, very similar to how Propbase does it with a user first mentality. So I think that's kind of aligned.
That was really smooth, by the way. I don't know how many people can actually, how do I say this? Talk so, speak so highly of Kadena and talking about how much you like them, and then in the same, narrative, say that, well, we went with Aptos because they had documentation and they had support and they had this and they had that. That was pretty incredible. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, I like a lot of. We looked at a lot. We did. We looked at a lot of layer ones. Even Ethereum. The only thing was with Solidity, and what we looked at was just the cost from a decentralization and security perspective. That's great. So, but from a cost perspective in getting the transaction down, it kind of breaks our business model, right? Where we're supposed to reduce transactions and we're supposed to increase liquidity, but
Absolutely.
well, we didn't really do that, even though we did bring it onto the blockchain. I'm joking. I mean, I'm sure that Ethereum will solve that solution, and there's, and from our native utility token, the only thing that Aptos lacks is the amount of users, right? So, but from this perspective, one of the things we announced on Friday was, we're only building our tech stacks on Move, which is, the Aptos programming language, but we will bridge our token, for people who want to access and hold it. And, one of our jobs is as we deployed, we went through a bunch of IDOs, in the middle of the bear, by the way, right? So
Well, you did keep Twitter pretty entertaining. I gotta say, like anytime I logged on, I was like, oh, okay, Propbase doing an AMA somewhere. So I do appreciate
yeah,
that. It was definitely fun.
yeah. So we were, we didn't care, right? So like our model is we're not so pressed on whether it's a good market or a bear market. We think our model works either way. And yeah, so I think it kind of comes down to yeah, just I mean just continuing on and doing the best that we can do in order to build and expand our token economy and deploy more products. So we just launched the first single side staking app on Aptos. So that was the only infrastructure they didn't have in place. But we quickly took modules, a few components from our tokenization engine, and we were able to roll it up into a staking app. And we ran through 2 audits, one by Certic, one by Hacken. And that was, just a pleasant experience also working with those partners as well, right? Because it's when we really get to deep dive into, with the why behind the actual functionality of a smart contract, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, we try to do everything kind of first in class. We one of our aspects that we try and do is if we say we're going to do something, we do it, right? So we even if we run into
Kind of
all these
important.
problems, right?
Kind of important.
Yeah, kind of important. Even if we run into all these problems, like we said months before, we were said, hey, look, we're going to have staking. It's going to be high yield and short term, and we're going to have this for users. So when we went to go and look on Aptos, we were like, hey, look, actually, there's no white label solution out there yet. There's no single-sided staking solution. We could work with APT and do some sort of farming mechanism, right? But we said, okay, we wanted it. So we rolled back, we spec'd out a staking app, which we call Propbase Yield. We built it and designed it in a way we think it's going to be scalable for us later on. And we rolled it out on that, and fast, right? So, and secure, right? So, I don't know any project who's at the time we were, just coming out of our IDO, just TGing, we're already rolling out 2 audits on our, on a standalone product aside from our core product, right? So and a lot of support coming from Certic and Hacken as well. They've been amazing for us to work with. Yeah.
That's really good to hear. And here, I'll pull this up on stage real quick so people can see. So this is your prop-based platform, because a question that I got pinged on my Telegram, not on YouTube, was how much can I earn if I stake? So if you guys want to take a look at staking, just go on the staking platform, and you have multiple options from 8% all the way to 16%, depending how long you want to stake your tokens for. So it's a really clean platform. I got to say, it works really, really well. Something that came up that goes right alongside this information here that's listed on your website is the information on point market cap, if the tokenomics are correct, which
Yep.
appears to be, because, hey, market cap is also listed right on your website, and they correspond directly with what's going on coin market cap in that beautiful 56.92% over the last 7 days. We don't have to talk about price. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't want to talk about price. But look, I mean, we built a very strong community. Our price is very good right now. But we don't run based on price, right? We just run based on execution. We have news, we're rolling out products right now. We're consistent in our performance of like market updates and everything. And we did a kind of a big one last Friday, which was just our leadership team talking about the last 100 days of Propbase, because we're new on the market. We just TGE'd, right, in November 10th, 2023, and we're just talked about the last 100 days, and talking about the next 100 days, and yeah, we've got kind of a pretty pretty good March ahead of us. We've got a pretty good April ahead of us, and we hope, you know, the market stays up and Bitcoin continues to remain strong, because that kind of makes it really exciting for all your listeners, everyone. But yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough to have, you know, a very healthy price chart, and a strong community of participants, and you can kind of see that in our staking app. So we were able to get a lot of people to come on and, you know, test it out, and not, we didn't have too many problems in the very beginning. Nothing actually with any sort of contract functionality, but, you know, some different wallet integrations, you know, we had to iron out. So we did a rollout of over about 3 weeks, and it was very successful, I'd say.
So, you're pretty humble about it. You have 28.82% of the circulating supply locked up. That's a huge number.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm happy with it. I would like, you know, our goal is to increase that number, right?
You got a number
One
in
of
mind?
yeah, I mean, just you know, yeah, I mean, our objective is we want to hit 30%.
30.
That's a
Cool.
key KPI for our core team. But we want to hit 50, and then we want to go even higher, right? So we've designed our tokenomics in a way that, you know, this is our first year on the market, right?
Yeah.
So we're a young project. We've never experienced a bull market. We've we're coming off, you know, maybe 3 months of price chart action, right? We've unlocked all of our IDO tokens. So we ran through pretty cool, very fun experience, because you really get to connect with the community through IDOs and stuff. Very good, very good. And we did 5 IDOs over about 3-month period. We partnered with someone who I think you're very familiar with, which is Kadena Labs. Phenomenal guys over there.
Shout out
So
to my cousin,
Jermaine,
Alfonso.
Alfonso, I love Alfonso, right? Mo, Alfonso, Jermaine, Nilo, all the guys, right?
Yep.
So they were the ones, when I talked about tokenization in the beginning, there Mo was like, "Hey, I think Kevin's onto something." Right. And I was like, yeah, we are, right.
Yes.
And that team for us, you know, was instrumental in onboarding us to Web3. Our background's entirely Web2. So, you know, they were there for helping us build up, and just phenomenal guys, right? So if any project's going to do a launch, you know, go to Kadena Labs, you know, ping them. They help you along the way. They like to work with serious projects.
Yeah.
They've got 2 launch pads, you know, Katie launch, they've got AP launch, right? So, you know, maybe I have no idea if they're coming out with more launch pads or not, but you know, love to see them, you know, continue to, and they've got tons of other products as well, right? So they're builders in this space. You know, Jermaine also, you know, in theory audited us, right? You know, looked at us at a very detailed, you know, light, looked at our business plan, looked at our value proposition, everything. And yeah, I mean, you know, that was a very good experience for us working with those teams, and we still try and do as much we can do to stay connected and to provide updates to their communities, because there are a lot of IDO participants and stuff.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the proof of a successful IDO is the fact that your token didn't dump as soon as you launched. Like, it went up. That doesn't happen very often. You know what I mean? Like, people, that's the biggest fear in this market, is as soon as you distribute those tokens, people are just gonna get rid of it. Instead, you're up, you know, over 50% over the last 7 days. Like, that sort of thing is what's really exciting to me. It's to see that, hey, not only did we do this the right way, people believe in what we're doing, and we're still going to continue to move forward. But that begs the question: why is the token valuable? Where does the value come from?
Oh, nice. Hey, Chantel. Um, Where does the value? So our native utility token serves as a uniform method for really all settlement of all transaction fees on Propbase, access to new listings, and for all subsequent modules that we build into the Propbase platform. We look at props, we put it at the center of it, like literally on a whiteboard, and we build utility around it, right? So it is our platform token. It is our utility token, right? It is symbolically is a way to measure our success. So people like to hold this token because they understand that our leadership team, our technical team, we're building utility. We're our marketing team, our moderation team. We're going to market this token, right?
Mhm.
We add features such as governance. We add features. Everything that we do is built around our native utility token, right? First from a product perspective, right? Then from a marketing perspective, and then our job is to get that token accessible out there, right? So there are some people who buy props to because they like the project, they like our team, they like what we're building, they're passionate about real estate and in investing in it through a new way. And there's some people who buy it because they want to see the price go up, right? And they know we're going to do something, we're going to list on an exchange, or we're going to, do a secondary product launch or something, right? And as we built really two core products, right? Propbase Yield and then Propbase Nexus is what we call it, is our additional features is to create enhanced utility around further aligning it with the actual underlying asset of the real property. But we haven't done that necessarily just yet, but that is in the
Mhm.
plans going on right after our about June, July.
Got
So,
it.
but to keep it quite simple, it's our platform token, very similar to how you would see something like um, Bybit and their native token, or all the other platform tokens out there, all the other IDO similar functionality as the KDL token, right? In the
Right.
initial stages, right? So
So
it's an
totally
access
makes sense.
token, it's a platform token. Yeah.
Now, I guess so. Rajesh did ask how they can get involved, and I'm going to tie this with another point here because looking at your website, and I get that you have the staking platform and then the Nexus platform that's coming up next. Um, if I just scroll down, it says yearly yield of 8 to 12% and capital gains of 5 to 6%. Um, those tokens, you're essentially going to have to choose what you do with them, right? You're either staking them or you're eventually going to be able to buy properties with them. Is that the idea behind it then?
No, that's not. So when we talk about tokenization, we have props, our native utility token.
Hmm.
That is separate from the actual property token. Those KPIs that you see there, they're associated with tokens that we have within our portfolio that we will tokenize upon platform launch. And those are the estimated annual asset appreciation and annual yield of those assets. So we've announced two big partnerships. We've done press releases with them. Our first asset and the type of assets we're tokenizing, right? So the type of assets we're bringing on chain are hotels, right? So hotels and resorts, namely in beautiful sunny Thailand, right? And these hotels, the reason we choose assets like this is because one, they're sexy, right? You've got a globally renowned brand. You've got that brand. They're known for quality management. They're going to be managing and taking care of the asset. So when you talk about asset tokenization, management of the underlying assets, a big question that investors have. So we've answered that question with a third-party property management company with global appeal. Number two is the type of asset it is. Well, for us being in Thailand, we know specifically that tourism continues to increase. Inbound tourists coming from all over the world are looking at Thailand as really the most attractive destination, and it's still quite cheap, to be honest. So you've got a massive inbound and influx of tourists coming over the next 5 years, going from, by the Thailand Ministry of Tourism, going from 40 million to about 80 million. So that means there needs to be a lot of additional infrastructure coming into the country. And I already know, and a lot of hotel developers, and my brother owns and operates 3, where I'm very familiar with this asset class. And they're running at 90% occupancy, right? So
Wow.
they're attractive. So it means when we bring those assets on chain, and this is always kind of like the crux of the deal, right? You might say, hey, look, you're going to get a super high yield, but it could just be factored into the price, right? Remember, I have a transactional background. I've dealt with this industry and all the pain points of this industry for a very long period of time. And having a asset that is has a track record, a financial track record, has a yield that's, let's say it's attractive, right? Maybe in the crypto world, for like example, going against an asset that's not backed by a physical or a token that's not backed by a physical asset can be much higher. But for us, in our case, real estate, 8 to 12% is very, very attractive on the yield. So our first asset is around 10%. So it's Wyndham Garden Hotels located in Thailand, specifically Bangkok. And after that, we plan to bring on many more different hotels located around here. And then to, as mentioned, we think big, right? So we want to first expand to Southeast Asia. So Vietnam is very much high on our radar for next. After that, we'll probably be looking at Malaysia.
Awesome.
And then after that, that's when we, can begin to look at, bridging to another region beyond Southeast Asia. And we like to do this fast, right? So I'm actually going to Vietnam in about 45 days. We have one of the things that we have for Thailand, because myself, Jesse Hudson, because we all worked here in the prop tech field for a very long period of time, we have these very strategic relationships with all the top tier real estate developers, and they've known us, right? So for a very long time, right? Like we have relationships with chairmans and the sons and daughters of chairmans, right? Who've worked with us. And we have this track record where we've marketed and sold a lot of their products over the last few years, and we've done it successfully. And so when we go to them about tokenization, they're like, shut up, I'm in, right? But it's because these relationships have been built over a long period of time. And so our objective when we look at other countries, well, we might be in Vietnam in a year from now, but we want to begin building these relationships now.
I mean, that's the way to do it. I mean, even when it comes to investing, it's not, I don't care what the company is. I care about the people in the company, right? Like, I want to know if I can trust them. Just the same way you've been talking about. Like, it's that transparency, it's that track record. Have they been able to accomplish the things that they have said they were going to do? That's everything to me. I mean, that's how VCs work. They don't ask people, what are you building? They ask, who's building it? So, I mean, it just totally makes sense. And since you brought up the fact that you're, going to these nice places, here's a fun question. Can we get a discount at the resort if we have the fractionalized owner of it?
The answer is yeah. Yeah, there is. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We'll solicit it unique to each specific asset, subject to how many tokens you have in that asset, but you won't be guaranteed to stay in that specific.
Right.
It's not guaranteed, but it is subject to, if you come, you would definitely get a discount on the hotel that you've invested in. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
That is incredible.
And off the F&B, right? So, yeah. But you won't get the only thing that we haven't figured out is the Wyndham reward points. So, when we're dealing with, because that's a little bit different, right? So
well, if you're
physical assets, it's easy for us.
Yeah, but if you're paying some of it for it, you're gonna get the points anyway. So it should work out, right?
You should get correct. Yeah, correct.
Wow. It sounds like I need to go to Thailand for my next vacation.
It's beautiful here.
I mean, that's one of the spots that I've like I got it written down, but I haven't, even researched it to even go out there yet. But ooh, young kids. As long as we good traveling over there with young kids.
My sister came over with her husband and three daughters over Christmas, and so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it is. Thailand has transitioned to making sure that there's very strong, family-oriented tourism. They've got all the hotel infrastructure, all the transportation, everything that is safe. You don't run into crime, and there's just no. I'll be honest with you. I love America, right? But
I
you
know where you're
know,
going. Go ahead, please.
look,
I'm right. I'm with
hey,
you.
walking down the road, at night might be a little bit dangerous in some parts of the United States, but here you can kind of go anywhere you want to go at any time of the day, and you're going to be safe, right?
That's
So,
awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's
yeah,
phenomenal. And that I mean, that goes a long way. And the reason why I asked that question, yes, I got 3 boys, so it's because I do wanna go, but it's also because it matters. If you're gonna invest in an asset that's being built somewhere away from home, it's kind of important. Like, will I be able to go out there and maybe check it out one day? Like, that's a huge thing. And I think it does go a long way to providing that assurance that, hey, this is not a fly by night kind of situation, that we will make sure that things are moving forward, that these assets are successful long term. So that's a huge thing. And just for clarification, the assets are not impacted by a bear market, right?
the fluctuation of asset backed, in our case, real estate asset backed tokens, they'll fluctuate, but based on probably more on the real estate market than on the crypto market, right?
Yeah,
I could see in a bear market in crypto, RWA is going to be doing exceptionally well, right?
that's
But
exactly
in a
what
real
people don't
estate
see.
market where it's cyclical, you're going to have the same drawdowns that you'd have anywhere else, but they're minimal, right? So,
Absolutely.
but in a crypto market, no, I view this, and this is what's going to be interesting, right? Because every time Bitcoin goes through a cycle, every time we run through alt season, the big one, it changes, right? Like
Yeah.
this last round in 2021, 2022, we had the stable assets, right? So, but now this next round, you're going to have the stable assets and you're going to have the RWAs,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
and it changes the
So,
game, right? It makes it easier for you to change asset classes without leaving Web3.
without leaving Web3 and pulling all your assets off and it being super complicated, right? The first round, you just had to, if I'm correct, you just had to stick with Bitcoin, right? So
Basically. Yeah.
then you had stables. Now you have, yield generating assets all throughout the world, and you can build a diversified portfolio to mitigate your risk, right? That is literally our objective, right? Is for people to be able to build diversified portfolios. They're liquid, they're asset backed, they're yield generating, they appreciate, and the likelihood of them doing so is fairly high, right? It's
Yeah.
not guaranteed, but it's there, right?
It's guaranteed that you're building this thing. That's what I wanna know, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have
That's all
probably
that
one of the
matters.
more active GitHubs. We launched product. We just launched this product, Propbase Yield. We've wrote out our roadmap. We're signing asset tokenization partnerships. You know, I kind of, when I get kind of asked those questions, it kind of makes me laugh a little bit because RWA it's a different machine than like us building a game or being in GameFi or me building some sort of bridging tool or another type of AI tool, right? Um Propbase for us is one, you look at our backgrounds, right? We like Propbase is the baby. It has a 5 to 10 year business plan. We invest in all the infrastructure we need to be, whether it be legal, compliance, tech, infrastructure, to set up a long-term business model, right? So we are in Web3. We
Yeah,
have a native utility token. We get this, right? But in terms of our core business, it is bringing assets on chain, which is a very serious business, right? You're dealing with
absolutely.
very conservative people who are very conservative with those assets, right? And there needs to be a lot of trust to bring those assets on chain. So everything that we do is to provide that reassurance, that trust, the long-term vision. We've planned for, everything from what happens if, something happens with Propbase, whether it gets acquired or whether we run into a problem, what happens with the underlying physical asset, right? So we've even gone as far as answering those questions, right? Putting that into documentation, into our white paper, putting it on our website. Everything that we do is really for the long-term vision. So we're young, we just launched. We've got great asset tokenization partnerships. We've got probably one of the best things that we always get told, we have an awesome community, right? And it
I agree.
started with the Katie Labs, right?
Yeah.
So all those guys coming in, and then it started with all the best people in RWA. We've got Dark Wolves over there. All these guys, they've all come together. Coin Esper, they looked at us, before they even gave us a second look. They were like, "Hey, look, let's hop on a call," right? And they kind of see us and in our vision, and getting to know what we're really passionate about, which is, hey, what we're doing here, like we want to bring as many assets on chain as fast as possible, do it in a compliant way, streamline the transaction process. Our backgrounds are almost entirely catered for this, and we're here to execute and not slowly. And so we like to scale things. And so our objective, what I tell our team, our technical team, our advisors, our community, and what you always see me say is our objective is to be the largest real estate tokenization platform in Southeast Asia. And so everything we do from today to next month, to our roadmap, to the products we design, to the utility of our native token is designed with that in mind. And so that's where we always come back to our first principles. And anyways, that's what we love. But that's really it. So yeah, happy to answer anything more or pick winners. It's up to you.
All right, so let me get two more in. I'm gonna go back to the same question. So how can people get involved? How can they get going? Because you just talked about a flourishing community. How do they become part of the community and more?
We have a few ways. It depends on what your area of expertise. So like I have a full-time technical team. So we're not looking for, we're not looking for jobs. I have a full-time moderation and marketing team. So we're fully stacked, right? But if community members just want to get involved, you join our Telegram. I've got, if you're an influencer, if you try to provide value-added content on Twitter, you can join our collab ambassador program. If you would like to, try out our products, provide feedback, we have that as well. But even for our beta testers, I have about 20 guys, as well as we have our own testers who kind of roll out all the testing that we need. But as we launch products, you can see what we did with Propbase Yield. It took us about 3 weeks, and people came in, they interacted with the platform, they provide feedback, and that's really the best way. Get active in our community, help support us. With any startup, it's quite unique, right? It's incredibly difficult for us to have the guerrilla or the mega marketing budget to let people know. So nobody knows about Propbase, right? People know about Propbase. Yeah, correct, right? And it's simply because Propbase is not throwing $3 to $5 million in marketing. We're not, we're a startup. We operate on a lean startup model, by the way. We're very focused on bringing assets on chain and earning revenue, right? So that's,
That's important. That's
might
huge. I
sound
mean,
weird in Web3, but that's our core business model, right? We want to
come on,
execute on
Kevin.
it.
Sell the dream. Sell a dream. Sell the pipe dream. That's how people make money Web3, no?
Yeah, right. So we, no, I mean, like, look, we're building a real business, right? So it's hard for us to get awareness out of there. We've been really, even like we had the conversation like yourselves. I'm like, I'll offer a giveaway and that kind of stuff. But the core thing about us out there is, if community want to participate, this is what I recommend. Take a look at us, do your research, ask us questions. I'm active in our Telegram, very active in our Telegram. We do tons of AMAs. And another thing is, I have community members DM me all the time and ask questions. Hey, what's the update on this? Right? Those type of things. So, ask questions, get involved with props. That's an early way to get invested with us.
You still answer
Participate
those,
in our
right?
first.
You
Say
still
again?
answer those questions?
Yeah. Yeah, of
That's not
course.
gonna
Yeah, of
last.
course.
That can't last forever, man. Like, that's awesome you're doing this now. Like, these people that are coming in right now and asking those questions and getting those answers, they're getting, I can't tell you how much, how beneficial that is, because you just gotta be honest with yourself. Long term, you're gonna
Yeah,
outgrow the
correct.
ability of doing this. So, I mean, that's
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons I love being at the ground level of things, because I can
yeah.
ask the guy who's building it, like, is this ready? When is it going to be ready? What's happening here? That's a huge deal.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. I think that I'll try to keep that as long as possible. When we scale to the next level, you're right. It's hard to be there. But for me, one thing that I like to take, I think it's just important in Web3 is, and I read every message in our Telegram chat. I try to, right? But you're right. I mean, we're in terms of productivity, most of my job is product development. The other
Yeah.
half is legal, contract writing, and then the other half is financial, right? So, or the other part is financial. So, but I do spend about an hour per day on marketing. But we're fortunate enough to have probably the four now best moderators in the business. But I always give a shout out to Puma, Barbaric Puma, and Bradley Russell. They're infamous in the Kadena ecosystem
They
and
are.
within, so, and they've been with us from day one, right? So we've got a few additional mods who've come on who are also awesome. We try to do pretty good community support, even though there might be an hour or two where you might not get an answer to your question, but yeah. And I
An
think
hour or
support
two,
is,
Kevin?
I,
People wait for days.
well, another thing is, like, I come from the Web 2 space, right? So customer service, the Web 2 space is massively competitive. You can't just be reliant on tech, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things about Propbase is we try to provide what we consider is, first in class service, right?
Yeah.
So but we're a startup. We're young. We're 3 months out of the gate. We've been building since July. A lot of the build before that was done almost entirely by myself, right? With one or two technical teams, but we had some other businesses at that time. But I mean, we're young, so this is kind of I guess you can say, the honeymoon period. It's the part that's really exciting, so that when 2 or 3 years from now, when we look back at things, we're like, hey, let's remember this moment now, because when you begin to deal with VCs and scale up, and you really want to be the largest tokenization platform in Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not very fun, and sometimes it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, no, it's exciting when you actually get to be not only hands-on with the building, but with the community as well, because then you get to like essentially get that immediate feedback. And man, I know it's not immediate gratification, but you get to see people utilizing and taking advantage of the things that you've been working hard at. And I mean, it gets lonely at the top. People don't realize this a lot of times. They're like, "Oh, that person, they're doing great because they just built this really cool thing." They don't think about, like, no, no, no. If they're not part of the community themselves, they don't get to reap the excitement and just the fun that comes from seeing people use the thing that they actually built. So it's really exciting to actually know that you are in there. And I am gonna join the Telegram right now because I've only been a part of the Discord so far. So I will absolutely be all over the Telegram for Propbase. That's for sure. Um, let me. Oh, okay. So I said I was gonna repeat this. So two ways to enter a giveaway. So we'll do one giveaway now, and I'll do a digital wallet because um people need to learn how to hold their funds. Don't get me wrong. Love that you guys are on MEXC. I love MEXC. Like action, it's at MEXC.action.co gets people there with my referral code. But man, like holding your own assets is everything. So like I try to give away wallets whenever I can. So we'll do that here on during this live. And then if you guys finish watching this video, leave a comment, not just like a comment on the chat, but like on the comment on the video itself, so that I can go back and do a comment picker. Because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a video about Propbase and try to consolidate the information for the people who like to watch 10-minute YouTube videos. Let's be serious. There's a ton of them out there. So if you guys like the video and then leave that comment so you can enter the giveaway, it's going to go a long way making sure that more people get to learn about what Propbase is all about. I'm going to throw you the last question here because I'm already getting roasted by Blue on the chat. Here we
Yeah.
go. And then we can you can pick a number, or if you really like this question, we can make this one the winner as well. So is there really a need for tokenizing properties on blockchain? Does it benefit participants in terms of additional transparency as compared to fractionalized assets in a traditional system? I could even answer most of this one, but
Yeah. Um, uh, it- the short answer is yes. The underlying technology of blockchain and the transparency between separate parties to agree upon certain settlement and transferability of those tokens is a fundamental strength to having it be on chain rather than just in the digital space. And I think that is where the adoption really happens, is where there's an actual value added method of bringing it into the blockchain, into the digital space, but through a trusted and verifiable way, rather than just a back-end database system of a company that says that that asset is there.
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. And yeah, man, people forget how cumbersome it is to trade things outside of the Web3 space. It's just a hassle. Like if I could buy properties on blockchain like right now, I'd have a lot more. Let me just put it that way. It's just not
I
feasible,
mean,
a lot of times.
yeah, and like when you can invest in property, $1,000, $5,000 in 5 to 15 minutes, you can turn around and you can exit that, let's say a month later, at a time and price of your choosing. I mean, and you had the comfort that, hey, look, the asset was backed by that token, and there was 100% assurance that was the case. Then you feel like it's just it's a better way to invest in property, excuse me, rather than making this huge investment decision and talking with everyone, and it's just too big a deal. Right now it's not, and now it's more of a passive investment decision.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and let me tell you, I love when I can get some passive income, any way possible. And if I can just invest, in fractionalized real estate, it just to me, it just makes sense. Did you like that last question, or did you like other ones better?
Hey, look, I've got tons of time. I have my technical team call me, but I'll make as much time and take as many questions as you'd like.
Ooh, all right. This is a great segue. All right, we got follow-ups. So the issue with tokenized RWAs could be the exchanges themselves. OpenSea decided that they will no longer support mining NFTs, which is also a form of tokenized RWAs. Well, isn't the point here that you're creating a marketplace itself? So people are always going to be able to trade your RWA because you're the marketplace itself. Like you're not giving up on the tokenized the tokenization of real estate assets. You're literally building this with that purpose exclusively, right?
Yeah, correct. And another thing that I think the question could be alluded to is, can anyone tokenize an asset on the marketplace? And the answer is no, right? There's a process, there's compliance, there's due diligence, there's auditing reports, there's valuation. Those things all need to be done, especially if they're being brought on chain and solicited to an investment group that believes and trusts in the assets that are being brought on to that platform, right? There's a process. So if you have kind of like an OpenSea approach where anyone from anywhere in the world can just tokenize an asset, that's more like, it's kind of a different model than Propbase. I'm not saying that it's not doable. It's just that you there's no trust to that asset, right? And so it wouldn't be as interesting for that to be there. And the likelihood there could be a lot of scams, or there could just be a lot of price discrepancy and ownership discrepancy and everything from people who are having been in the real estate industry a lot. You see a lot of funny stuff, right? So our whole goal with Propbase is, before we think about bringing assets on chain, our whole objective is we want to take all of the risks with the underlying asset out of the picture. That's the key. And, no previous title deeds, no previous liens on the property, no debt, right? No issues with, insurance. We take all the aspects out of it. So a marketplace where anyone can kind of upload properties and do it on their own and solicit it in a cross-platform way, I don't think is right, and I don't think it's compliant.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about people doing things
Yeah, it's no way, no way,
in a funny
not with
way.
asset.
It like in
Yeah,
real estate, like if you go on an open sea, anybody can list anything, and like it, you get one NFT project come out, like everybody else comes out with the fake ones, just trying to make money on top of it. So I completely agree, and I think you
yeah,
kind of answered this a question that I had, which is, will the platform always be, based on assets that Propbase is working on themselves and not third parties that are just willy nilly going, oh, I got a building, I want to put it up.
yeah. I see a follow-up question there. It makes sense. Centralization. The Propbase is a decentralized asset tokenization platform, meaning that you can. So the way we work is you can go in through a separate domain and you can see all the transactions on the platform. You can see how many wallets own each property. You can see how many tokens of that property each wallet owns. So you need to have that, and that's the value of blockchain, because you can't mess with the ledger associated with it. You can't edit it. You can't delete the data. So centralized platforms out there that do that, that's a bit different. And in that case,
Yeah.
that's similar to exchanges, but
So there's
decentralized ones are
so
are are are
okay,
better.
so the centralized ones, essentially there's zero visibility. They can change
Correct.
whatever they want on the background and no one would ever know about it. There's no accountability because like you were saying, like you actually have a way that people can see transactions happening on blockchain, what's
Yeah,
actually going on, who's buying, who's selling. That's all a public ledger, right?
correct.
So that's very different from a centralized platform. So in a
Yeah,
way, yes, Propbase is a company, but Propbase is running a decentralized and transparent marketplace.
correct. Yeah, yeah. It goes back to our core fundamentals, right? So otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's not as attractive for me. And look, to become centralized, sure, you can now put in high frequency trading. Personally, I don't think that's necessary for RWAs at this point in time, but or for what we're trying to achieve. Look, if you can trade and get in and out of that investment in 5 to 15 minutes or 10 to 20 minutes, that's okay, or 3 minutes, right? That's fine, right? So I think that solves the problem compared to it being 7 years. Right.
Yeah. I'm planning on holding it a little bit longer than the couple of minutes. I'm just gonna put it out there because
Yeah.
it's still a real world asset, right? Like it's not like
Yeah.
a
Correct.
a random meme coin that you do need to watch the minutes. I mean, you're watching the the chart down to the second sometimes. Like, okay, is it pumping or is it dumping? This is different. This is
Mhm.
not that type of asset. There's a literally a physical building behind it that's not gonna go anywhere. That somebody's not gonna nobody's gonna rug the building essentially.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It's not going anywhere. Okay. Right. So I see another question. Can you submit properties? You for Propbase, you can, but the likelihood. So we work with either publicly traded real estate developers, or real estate developers who already have a portfolio of properties underneath their belt and have probably been in business for 25 years. That's our first, KPI right there, our first pre-qualification. Um, so yeah, and we're just focused in a geographical area. It makes it easy for us. We're very familiar with the compliance. We're very familiar with the property, the geographical region, the network, everything. So but who knows, for say maybe in 2025 we'll be thinking differently and be in many different countries. But for right now, our focus is Southeast Asia, and we work with property developers exclusively.
So before we go to the next question that came up, I want to bring it back to something you said that's kind of a big deal to me. You said that when you were backed by VCs, it was really important for you to just deliver, make sure that you were growing year over year. Is the goal for Propbase to grow that same way in a sense where you are growing year over year, adding more employees possibly, and just acquiring more properties, on a exponential level, or is the goal really to be linear?
Our goal right now, no, not linear, because we're greenfield. So right now, our goal is to grow. So sustainable scaling is what I kind of
Okay.
call it. Um, we want to, and it's beautiful because in Propbase you can really do that. In other businesses, it's more like customer acquisition, user acquisition, everything. But for us, our method is really how many assets we bring on chain. How many assets? What is the value of that asset on chain? How many users are on our platform, right? So, but right now, Propbase is kind of, um, who's ever listening to this and who's ever here, I guess, is like, because I do a lot of blockchain conferences, and I talk to a lot of funds, and when I bring up tokenization, a lot of them are just starting to hear about it.
Yeah.
I they're just starting to, and their questions are like, why? What's the benefit? Do I need to do this? Right? And so really in Southeast Asia, Propbase is in a green field, or we have an early mover advantage. So our objective is to not take that early mover advantage for granted and to scale as fast as possible, but to do so in a efficient manner and to make sure it's sustainable growth. So that doesn't involve, burning money in places that doesn't bring us any value or making mistakes. It has to do with figuring out what specific area we want to scale in, and getting a positive track record or some momentum with that scalability, and then continuing to double down on that. And that's the type of growth that I like and I think is effective. So that's really what we want to do. But yeah, I mean our and what's kind of crazy is only after a few years you start doing 100%. But in the first few years is when you do the 5, 6, 800%. By the way,
Yeah.
it's the year 3, year 4 is when it's hard to hit that 100% year on year growth, right?
So your Nexus app is gonna come out, midway through this year. Do you have a goal of how, the total asset value that you want to be on have on chain by the end of this year?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we're our application comes out in April. We're just very simply doing one property as a test run. I think a lot of our we explained this on Friday. We've got the asset lined up. We're just going to run through one what we call proof of concept product market fit. Then we have between 25 and 40 properties in June. And then as we scale up by the end of the year, we'd like to be at about 25 million on chain value. Yeah, by Q4.
Wait, how many properties is that going to be by the end of the year?
That will be about 25 million. So we would be looking at about 100 properties.
That's incredible. Wow. So you're,
Yeah.
I mean, you're at 0 today. You're going to go from 0 to 100 in less than a year. I mean, nine, April. Let's say, I mean, by the time you guys get everything sorted out, let's say 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. But some of those properties are bunched together. So the way our model works is one could be, 10 rooms, 20 rooms, one floor of a hotel. So it's a little bit easier for us. And then we have some higher net wealth individuals who are interested in some smaller real estate funds who are interested. So it's easier for us to bring those retail in terms of like investment. It's great for us, but we also look at more sophisticated investors, right?
Sure.
So who are more attuned to traditional real estate investment of their portfolio. This is more on the, let's say, riskier side, as we're on the crypto side. We're like the super conservative side,
It's the
right?
opposite.
The opposite, right? So, but a big core of our focus is so there's like, two areas of the business. One is the Web3 and then the other is the Web2. And so, yeah, I mean, our objective is to build a marketplace that allows for an investor to build a diversified portfolio and to be able to minimize the risk with any one underlying asset. So meaning that their portfolio will perform no matter what. And they have a very, very high likelihood of that continuing to do so. And so a few aspects of that involves a marketplace of properties across multiple regions. And even as we begin to grow, different types of properties. So that is how you truly build a first-in-class product. And then from us to be able to have the ability for investors on the secondary market to be able to sell at a price and time of their choosing, and to have that full exit and let's call it full loop. And that's how we really get people to refer friends and the network effect. And that's when we've known we've built a great product.
And some of those more traditional investors, what you're basically saying is that once those properties come on chain, they're already looking to purchase those properties. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So the way we work is Nexus comes on and it crowdfunds the properties.
Yep.
Very simple, straightforward process, similar to a launchpad. After that has reached its crowdfunding targets, then we disperse those tokens to those individual investors. And then from there, they can roll those over to a secondary marketplace and choose to sell those tokens or hold those tokens and earn rental yield.
Wow. That's, I mean, you can't lose because you're building a platform and you already pre-sold the things. Well, pre-sold, people are going to come on, they're going to buy it anyway. So yeah, talk about a win-win. Like, this is
Yeah.
huge.
And Propbase, we invest in all the properties, right? So we need to do so in order to make sure we can maintain that there's liquidity there. But we in and ourselves, we would see them as, and we would invest in them at the same price as our investment community, as well as we would be transparent around the fees that our platform earns in return for bringing that asset on chain. So you kind of have this perfect plethora of, almost like a hive mind where, you can imagine a chat group with 10, 20 different investors who are all looking at the best assets and hopefully coming to the same conclusion that we have and that auditors have and our valuers have, that, hey, look, this asset is adequately priced. It's the likelihood of the yield generated is quite high. Therefore, it has a global appeal, which means, potentially on the secondary market, there's liquidity, and this is a good investment. And so that's kind of where our model, our value proposition is, and then how we scale that and bring on more attractive and more globally renowned assets.
Oh, I mean that's huge. Um, this is a really tough question, and it's a follow up from what we were talking about before. This is the story. Basically, they were talking about having NFTs are able to be stolen. Then if somebody claims it after you bought it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's all on you. Um, what's going to happen with Propbase and when it comes to that sort of thing? Because you're saying that the platform is decentralized. Is
Yep.
there going to be a way for people to claim or do something along those lines? Is there a mechanism built in?
Great question. Great question. Yeah, I get this one a lot. We have the benefits of blockchain technology, which is the transferability of tokens, but we don't have the benefits of anonymity, meaning that Propbase, in terms of the compliant, on Ethereum, they have 3643 token standard. It's compliant for asset tokenization. In Move, in our case, we have the V4 token standards. This means that we can mint, burn, freeze tokens representing the underlying asset value, and that we've also restricted the access of transferring those tokens from non-whitelisted users. So you have this parameter, let's call it a walled garden. You have this asset. We know who the people who are associated with that asset are, who are holding those tokens. They're freely able to transfer tokens to other participants in that group. Outside of that group, there also needs to be restrictions associated with that. If you lose your tokens and you just had them in a wallet and you lost your private keys but you were KYC'd on our platform and you went through the verification process with us to recover those tokens, then you would be able to retrieve them. So you don't have the same aspect. You don't get that with RWA, period, simply because there's compliance built in, right? Government entities, they need to know who is the owner of those underlying assets. And this is across all RWA for all asset classes. So you don't have that same lost my keys, lost my crypto aspect, simply because it just doesn't work like that. But what you do have is you do have the benefits of the underlying technology and the transferability and the trust between intermediaries and the low cost of transaction. You have those benefits. You have the blockchain benefits, but you don't have the anonymity. So at any one point in time, and this is not only unique to Propbase, this is all RWA platforms, there needs to be compliance built into the tokenomics. And we are just like anyone else.
Got it. Talking about compliance, how does compliance look like for U.S. citizens?
Yeah, I know. So our leadership team is all American, by the way, which is very funny, right? And even our IDOs, we couldn't participate because it's really funny, right? So, right, because KD Labs and AP Launch and I'm sure you guys know KD Launch, they're all KYC, right? So unfortunately, Americans can't participate. There is a list of countries who can participate. It depends on which securitization vehicle we use. We have a securitization vehicle in Southeast Asia. We have one in Europe based out of Luxembourg. We've got a pretty good list, but then we also just have the standard blacklisted countries. Of those blacklisted countries, unfortunately, America, it's still, crazily enough, is still one of them.
Where would one find that list?
We'll publish it on Nexus prior to our first asset tokenization offering.
Okay. Is Palau good?
I also know about Palau. You wouldn't get through our on-chain analysis. So
asking for a friend that just happens to be in the chat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you could. You're better off just, Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? So when we think about it, it's nothing to do with Americans, right? That
Yeah,
sucks, right?
it does.
But it does have to do with the type of money. So unfortunately, real estate tokenization in general, could potentially solicit a, what we call black money, right? So us as we're building a scalable long-term business,
Right.
we're bringing in global brands. None of these brands want to be associated with anything mischievous. So we have to go above and beyond making sure that everything we do is compliant, from really even a know your transaction and on-chain analysis. So yeah, because otherwise it would affect us,
To-
instrumentally.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. Palau, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on it. I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked into the regulation on Palau, or I've never been there. Let's just put it that way.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, my recommendation, as somebody with a dual citizenship, get a dual citizenship, guys. Just go out there and
Yeah.
go find a country that will give that to you because it helps. Believe me, like I was blessed to be able to have both. Like I was born in Brazil and then I moved to this
Yeah.
and got the citizenship. Man, like after like it's actually something that it's worthwhile looking into and looking at what countries you can acquire citizenship from, which is sometimes a little expensive. Other places are cheaper. Some places are cheaper than others. You can say.
But we will open up an office in the United States. It's
Cool.
just not right now, and we will be able to allow U.S. Canadian citizens. Canadians, fine, right? But we will eventually have that. Um, that is not because American properties, right? Just because we want to be able to have that access. So
Yeah.
that is something we've discussed. We've had preliminary conversations. It's not nothing that we're super focused on in 2024, but it is something that we would be focused on in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to hear that that access is something that you want to maintain throughout because some people they come in and they just like, yeah, it'll be fine. But knowing that having that access to the team is something that's important. That's a big deal. Um, on behalf of send money funny. Sorry, just going through some of the comments here. I appreciate everybody that came out and to kind of listen to what Kevin had to share with us because this is really cool stuff, guys. Like nobody's doing it like this, and I've seen other platforms and again, they are some of them that I have seen that launched are just not up to par. And the ones that keep promising, they've been promising and promising, and like you never see anything come to fruition. And knowing that Propbase has already um put out a product that works, it just goes to show that there is definitely validity to what's happening and what we can expect. I'm gonna put you on the spot one last time here and put this on the map. This 2024 product roadmap. Are y
Yeah.
are you still gonna be able to meet all of the things that are on here? And I ask because, like, it looks like you just got that prop base yield launched, and you got a bunch of things that you still gotta do, and it's March.
Yeah, correct. No, we fully spec our. Here's another thing that we did. We on Propbase Nexus, we had actually built full version 1 in 2023. We're just going through what we call a V2, where we've added a few additional enhancements. We're ready to go. I think we've got about a 2-week sprint left on that.
Oh,
That's when we're looking to open for testnet. So a majority of what we want to achieve in H1, we feel very comfortable with. Our website revamp, which I'm quite excited about because I built the first version of the website, but it feels for me because when I begin looking at things time and time again, I want to do it. For us, that's a relatively easy and short product. I think it's around 250, 300 hours. I spec'd it about 5-6 weeks ago. But our technical team, we're running sprints. We provide developer updates every 2 weeks. There's no and just I said at the top as a de facto, let's call it product manager, right? So I know how fast our team can develop. I know the features that we want to add. I know how we roll out products, the work that we need to do in order to correct bugs on products, and the time that affects within the roadmap in and of itself. So there's nothing really, and a lot of our team members we've been working with for a while, right? So um, there's no unforeseen factors. There's no pivots in changing our business model. We're not going to develop an NFT something or other. We're not going to change anything and build it some other type of product. We know what we're going to build. We've crystallized because we've either rolled out a prototype, we built a demo version or a prototype version or a full version. And this is just a high level what you're seeing in front of us for someone who wants to give it a glance. But Propbase Nexus is there releasing in, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks. Our objective is to be tokenizing assets on chain in late April. We've had this on our runway and roadmap for quite a while. Most of the community members know that that's the time. Our website revamp is fairly quick. Our EVM bridge, I just highlighted on it. That will also be completed in H1, also April. Then our secondary marketplace, I'm in early stages of speccing it. We're looking at about a 2-month build on that. And then our one associated with affiliate and referral modules is towards the end of the year. Also another 2-month build. And let's say we run into a month of testing, feedback, additional feature loops. We've kind of built that into the roadmap. But we know what we're going to build. We know how we're going to build it. We know how it's going to look. We know how it's going to work. And, from myself sitting at a product admin level, right, or a product developer level, I can see how that gets implemented in Jira, how that passes through sprints, and how it affects our timeline. So I don't see no, there's no major. We deliver products earlier rather than slower. So look, this was made in a way for us to overachieve. Also be honest about that.
Okay, so you just said Jira. The fact that you're using, that kind of deployment product tells me you're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
aren't doing something like that. They're literally using a spreadsheet that and a piece of paper that's written in a post-it notes all over their monitor.
I did that in 2010. Okay. I'm not going back to that. All right. Right. We from a product development perspective, one of the things I also like to talk about. So I have two blockchain developers, 2 front end, React.js, 2 back end, Node.js. I have 3 members on technical support, so UI UX, quality assurance, OPSEC, right? They're part time, but they're there when we need them. So we have a full tech suite where we can deploy as a unit product in a timely way. And we operate on 2-week sprints. We use professional tools. I also have a business analyst who's able to help myself so that I don't have to do all the administrative tasks. And I try and operate as efficiently as possible. But that's how we roll out good product, because I make a lot of changes. I get a lot of feedback from community members, and we implement those changes. I think a lot of people in the call know. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, why aren't more Web3 projects deploying the way you do? Like that's the only thing that comes to mind. Like would be in such a better place if, most of the things were not here in the first place. Let's be serious, because a lot of it is just scams. But secondly, the ones that are trying to build, do it right. Like actually put the work and effort into it. I think that's what we're missing a lot of times in Web3 is that people think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, hire some random people that I've never met in my life, that I've never talked to, gonna throw some money and hopefully they can put something together for me. And there's no feedback from community. There's no community building to, really take a look at the project and take a look at the product that you're putting out. And like you said, like you have changes because people are looking at it, people are reviewing it, people are providing that, crucial feedback. Because don't get me wrong, I think you're a really smart guy, Kevin, but you don't know everything. And neither
Yeah.
do I. And
We don't know
neither
everything.
does every single person. But as a whole, dude, like things are just so much better off when we, ultimately collaborate and come to a consensus of this is the best way of going about doing things.
Yeah. For me, it's, experience. I've, and started building tech, right? A long time ago. I've done it the hard way, by the way. I mentioned to you before this call, I built products that didn't work or
Whoa.
didn't function correctly. I go, it's a painstaking experience.
You
It's not a
gotta
lot
give
of
me an
fun.
example. You gotta give me a tiny little example of something that failed. Come on.
A tiny example was I built a mortgage tool that
Okay.
didn't integrate with the third-party financial providers, and the home loan officers were too lazy to log in and use it, and we never got traction off of it. It was a great thought process behind it, and we were trying to provide interactive mortgages on our platform, but then we just had to, go through and we had to revamp the whole thing. We had to redesign the whole product. We had to, streamline the process, but fighting through, the value proposition
Wow.
worked. It's just we didn't get there on the first run. And so then I actually kind of stopped. Before we would invest heavily in new products and features, we would kind of just build the front end a little bit, even though the automated process might still be a person. We didn't want to invest all the technology in the back end at that time. But yeah, I mean, look, I think, I'm always pretty transparent and honest about it. I think it's good that, I've built some products that I've also built products that have been phenomenal, right? So that have had what you want to see is a product to have that network effect, right? And I built very scalable platforms that have had, 1 billion page views in a month, that have half of an entire population of a country, that have 5 to 10,000 users on site at any one time, and have the bounce rates that you want from like similar web statistics of like 60%, something like this, and then 4.5 minute time on site. That's when you kind of feel good. Hey, look, it's all coming together. But having said that, it's not just going like that. It's there's ups and downs, and
Yeah.
but that's part of the journey, right? So I don't think I would change anything or do anything differently. And I think with Propbase, it's the same way. But I think we're ahead of our roadmap. We're ahead of our time frame. We like to deliver on what we say we're going to deliver, give or take a week. That's kind of how we put it. And I don't see any change to that for 2024. And our objective is to do the best we can do. And we love working hard and solving, and are incredibly passionate about this problem and changing the face of the world's largest asset class.
Oh, I want to be Kevin when I grow up. That's what this sounds like.
Well, thank you, but let's hope there's a lot of action CEOs and a lot of Kevs in the Web3 space, and potentially maybe by that time the Web4 space. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you never know what's coming next, especially with quantum being right around the corner. Years
Yeah.
still right
Correct.
around the
Yeah.
corner. All right, so let me do something fun because we still have a lot of the same people here with us. If you ask the question, just put a comment in there saying that I left the question, just so I can know that you're still here and you didn't forget. We didn't forget about you and you didn't leave, because I do want to pick one of you guys to give something out like now. That's the only way I really know how to do it. Make sure that you guys are still around and watching the stream. But with that, let me. No, Ryan, you didn't ask a question. You missed out. What are you doing? You sleeping on the job, brother? But
I want to give a shout out to Dodger Blue. He's a big community supporter, and I always tell Barbaric, Puma and stuff, and I go, Dodger Blue's one of my favorite community members because he's a more seasoned crypto. Oh, he's as degen as it gets. So
yep, there
hey,
you
look,
go.
yeah, but he's how do I put it? He's a veteran degen. So he's like a
Very
voice
true.
of guidance for the new degens who are like, what do I do? You know, that kind of stuff, right? So you know,
That's
hey,
awesome.
you're a valued member, and we love seeing you in the prop base chats and everywhere.
Well, I'm hoping I'm gonna see Blue over the weekend, at a conference that we're gonna be at. Hope I think he got his ticket and everything, so we should be in Florida together, over the weekend. It should be a good time. A lot of people
Oh,
actually
great.
that were in the chat should show up. They better show up because they said they would. So, all right. So 1, 2. Let me see here. Just double checking. 1. Wow. There you go. All right. I just want to make sure everybody caught it. We got one couple of minutes. Yeah, we got 3 minutes since we asked that question. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
Me?
Yeah.
If I pick a number between 1 and 3, that means the winner is going to be one of those numbers.
Yes.
I always go with number 1.
Number 1. Here we go. The first person was the CMARS to confirm that they were still here. So, hey, the CMARS, I'm going to send you a wallet. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. I would be glad. You know what? I'm going to send you 2 because you always need a backup in case the first one, breaks. So I'll send you 2. Just hop onto my Discord and open a ticket, and I will be happy to do that. And I do have ways to confirm that, the CMARS is CMARS. That would be a really, really easy one. But again, guys, this is not the only way that you can win. As soon as we finish the stream, leave a comment down below so I can go through the comment picker and actually pick one of you guys. Be really straightforward. And if you want to get to my Discord, I'm going to drop the link in there for you. Boom. See, people always ask questions, then put a regular comment. Mr. Ooey, you're gonna have time to put that regular comment. As soon as the stream ends and the comments down below, they open up. It's a weird feature from YouTube. You can't comment while the stream is still live. So just kind of how it works. You'll be able to do it later. Don't you worry. And I always take care of. I've taken care of you before. I'm gonna take care of you again and again. Don't worry about that. All right. What is it if you had to ask everybody in the room to tell their friends, family, what is it that you would like to have them tell them about Propbase? This thing that they may never have heard about before, and they're like, I just heard X, Y, and Z. What is it that you want them to tell them?
I mean, simply as this. If you're looking, a lot of people who are in our chat, who are in our community, they do this already, right? We're everything that we do with Propbase, we try and build first-in-class products. We try and bring first-in-class transparency. We're good guys. We're good, our leadership team, we're all best friends. We've known each other for a long time. Technical team, all the other guys, we all love working together. We've all worked together in the past. If you want to invest in a good project that has a good future ahead of it, join our community. And if you like it and you do your own research and you think it's right for your portfolio and you think you want to get involved, be in at the start, because now's a great time. And I think that we have the team, we have the backgrounds, we have the track record, we have the narrative, we have the geographical niche and focus, we have the partnerships to scale this. And that's what we intend to do. And so if you want to be involved in that process, you can get involved in multiple ways over the future, and get involved in our communities and begin researching. That's what I would suggest.
That's awesome. And since you brought up Lou, I am gonna follow through with what he asked. He said, do a live buy of props. So the video that I'm gonna put up on YouTube, the next one that won't be live, but it'll be for the lazy that can't handle more than 10 minutes worth of video. I'll do a live buy on that one as well, so people can see exactly on how to go about it. Thanks, Blue.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, thanks, Blue. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, we definitely have some incredible people in the community. It's really, really phenomenal. How do they find you? Where do they go to do all the things that you just said? What socials and all of those fun things where people should be following you at?
I mean, we do this. The way we work is we're probably most active on Twitter. So anything that you want to see, go to our Twitter page. Our Telegram is where you really get the news first. So if we announce things on Telegram probably 24 hours before we announce things on Twitter. Our Telegram we also have a price chat. So if you want to go in and talk about price, it's unofficial props price chat. You're more than welcome to join in there. It's a great group of guys, by the way. And if you want to participate, and let's say you're a degen, you want to get out there and hustle, you want to make Web3 your career. We always have like the Zeely, which used to be called Crew 3. We always have these really cool prize awards and sessions. Hop in, take a look, participate, and we do tons of AMAs. This is hopefully with you one of many. We hope to be back on, provide an update, probably do like
please.
a product overview at that time, right?
Love it.
And that's really about it. But yeah, I would say Telegram, Twitter are our biggest. And obviously you can follow my account, but I don't tweet that much. I just retweet what Propbase retweets or what Propbase tweets. So
Love it.
I spend most of my day, I guess offline or online, but doing other stuff. I haven't yet the time to do my own tweeting yet. So,
I mean, it's okay. We like that you're building, Kev. So it's all right. Keep at it. Keep at it.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that you should stay in the bunker in the basement coding, but just keep doing what you're doing. We're all enjoying it.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Well, if that was in 2 hours, that just flew by. Usually I struggle by the end of the first hour. I'm like, this person's boring. I'm exhausted. And we did 2 hours and it was a breeze. And I keep talking for another one, actually. I wouldn't mind it. But we'll cut it here.
We'll do another one here.
Yeah, but, we'll definitely do it. We'll definitely do another one. There's no question about that. And like I said, I want to make sure I give the people, the opportunity to leave a comment down below so that they can answer that giveaway. Because what's going to happen, I'm going to go back. I am going to do my due diligence and actually do a little chapter so people know exactly what was happening throughout the video, even though, because when they go in a video for 2 hours, they're like, I'm not going to watch this thing for 2 hours. But if there are questions and I can break it down, it's going to be phenomenal for people to be able to rewatch it and get exactly to where they need to get. And that will help everybody on the rewatch. And like I said, we'll do that fun little video where I'll do a prop buy, show people how to, do that on the APTOS chain. MEXC is too easy. I mean, I'll show it, but I won't even bother buying it there because
you should do it on Liquid Swap.
Yeah, no, you're on Liquid Swap too?
We're on Liquid Swap. It's good for a new user, right? So, a new user coming on, I know the Pontum Network team.
Yeah.
We're also on Pancake for Dex buys, right? But it was really nice. I really like another thing about APTOS. Really nice people. The Pontum
team
makes
a huge difference.
Beautiful people.
Such a big deal for me, man. Oh man, I love when it's like
and very passionate.
When you find those people, like you stick with them. Like I don't care. They don't even have to be the best tech, the best but like you stick with them. Like no disrespect to Kadena, but I'm not always that pleased with how things are going on the chain, but I love the community. I love the people that are there. You know what I mean? Like to me, that means the world. And personally doing business, I will time and time again do business with people that I like over making a ton of money with people I don't like. I just don't care. Like money is secondary to me when it comes to these things. Like, are you good people or are you not good people? Like that is the first question every single time.
Yeah. I can tell you I'm like that as well, right? So it makes, for me, one of the things that makes everything very fun is it's fun to do like this show. After this show, I've got a 2 hour catch up with our technical team. I know what we're going after. After that, probably going to hop on, some communication with some partnerships that we're going to line up, right? It's fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, it makes it nice to have good people to work with.
Yeah, and apparently, I'm very huggable, so there is that. That adds to the likability aspect of me. So, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. Yeah, I can't wait to have you back because now when you come back, it's not gonna be like, oh, let's talk about what prop base is. No, it's gonna be let's talk about what prop base has built and how things are going. And I'm really excited for that. So, Kev, thank you so
Yeah,
much. I
great.
really appreciate you coming out and hanging out.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think we were talking before that YouTube for us, it's great. This is our debut. Thank you for making us feel comfortable. Thank you guys for the questions, and hope to be back in 2 months, and in 2 months after that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm sorry to say this, you're gonna have to do more YouTube because I already have my buddies reach now going, "Hey, I want to talk to Propbase. What's this all about?" And they have way more followers than I do, way more subs on YouTube than I do. So you're gonna have to deal with the 70K, 100K subs very shortly. So good luck. I know it's not gonna be hard for you. You handled this thing like a champ, so you're just gonna have a good time with some other cool people. That's all I gotta say.
It's time to rock and roll. Hey, and Action. You've been following us from day one. Really means a lot. Your support, and doing this for us here is, I guess our loyalty always lies with the people who are here at the foundation, just like our early community members and stuff like that. So thank you for bringing us on here, and next time, I'll even bring on some additional members, and we can have a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it. The more the merrier. I mean that let's fill this room up. I mean, I pay for the extended version of StreamYard so we can get a ton of people and make it really chaotic up here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it. Well, again, thank you
Cool.
so much. I really appreciate the time. It's been just, a blast hanging out with you, and we'll do this again shortly.
All right, great.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Everybody that tuned in. Remember, leave a comment down below as soon as the video's done so I can go through that comment picker and pick one of you guys to get some free prop. And how much is that again?
$100.
100 bucks worth of props. So, yeah, it pays to comment on the video. Who thought I would ever say that? So, thanks, guys. I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.